from his brother Yossi. A true story. It's an emes lamita. So I'm going to skip over 10 years. I'm going to start backwards. Then I'm going to work forwards. And when you guys get bored, then I'll tell you the real punchline. Really, when I walked in, Sholom Mordechai was saying something that scared me like a fellow, and it's so true. When I was your age, when we were your age, they used to tell us, what you do now, you're going to remember your whole life. Your friend from now is going to be your friend from whole life. I want to tell you something. When I was your age, I was in a very different type of yeshiva. But, and they used to tell me those kind of things and I didn't believe them. And I've changed a lot since then. But if you want to have a good life, then you got to be good now. Because it doesn't help you say, okay, now I'm going to chaperayim and then next year I'm going to be good. It doesn't work that way. The way you are when you're 57 or 27 is the way you were when you were 17 and 18. If you'll be good now and you'll learn now, it doesn't have to be exactly what they want you to learn, but as long as you learn something, as long as you're happy every day, then you'll be happy your whole life. And if you're grumpy now, and if you waste your time now, and if you sleep all day now, then when you wake up at the age of 57, there's nothing left. So let me tell you a story. I was thinking of it today when Sholom Mordechai was in my house. Sholom Mordechai came and we were sitting like this. And Sholom Mordechai was asking me a question. It was too deep to discuss in public. And I was thinking, there's a guy named Smitty. You probably never heard of him. And he spoke before about big, tall, good black people. He was a big, tall, broad black person. He was in the United States Army. He freed Buchenwald. He was part of the unit that freed Buchenwald. Are you going to ask questions on the story? How could it be? It's a true story. He went into Buchenwald and he was looking through the bodies. Among the bodies, he found a 7-year-old boy. His name was Monsey. Yisrael Me'elau. But then he wasn't famous. Then he was a bag of bones that his brother hid among dead bodies so he shouldn't be killed by the Nazis. And this soldier picked him up in one hand. Maybe he was 8 years old. And he went over to the German general. And he said, Shemzach, this is what you're fighting against. This is your war. This is what you're killing, a little boy like this. If I ever meet that Macht Schaefer, if I ever meet that Russia, if I ever get my hands on them, ich will sagen today, look at this Chassidish Yid. Look at this ehrliche Yid, geb a kuk auf a Yid. This is a bank robber. This is who you wage war against. Eric Holder, you that stand for justice. Obama, that lady who met with Clinton because she fights for justice, but she wouldn't let us into the door of the Justice Department. This is who you were fighting with? This gangster, this guy has to be locked up for life. Shemzach, what's the matter with you people? That's my drush. Now the real story is, I was looking before at a letter my son sent me. I have a son, his name is David. He's a little older than you guys. He's 22. He's a liddy, so he learns in brisk. When he was a bar mitzvah bacher, he learned with Sholom Mordechai. That's why today he's in brisk. Dem gelernt mishnayos wie zu lernen. And he sent me a letter today. Mamish zu weinen. I would read it out loud, but tough men don't cry in public. And all you guys want to show how tough you are. And you don't want to be crying, but you would be crying in a second, I guarantee it. If you want, you can try it. Usually not wrong. He wrote me like this. He remembers all the private things which we don't want to talk about. He remembers the day we had a rally in Ar Sameach in Monsey. I don't know if any of you were there, maybe Rabbi Flam was there, maybe Simcha was there. And Yerachmiel Simmons got up to speak and he was introducing me and I was the next speaker. And until this week, I still walk around with that fear that Sholom Mordechai is going to call and I'm not going to get the call. I used to walk around with my phone by a chasana. Why are you holding your phone? I hold in my pocket. Because Sholom Mordechai would call, and if I would miss his call, I would feel bad. They only had certain minutes. You had to wait online a half hour. So you wasted up a half hour to call me, and I was dancing by a chasana. So I gave the phone to my son, to my little son David. I said, if Sholom Mordechai calls, you talk to him. You press the buttons, and you talk to him. It was the day the prosecutors called for a 25-year sentence. You think? And my son, and the phone rang, and this boy is writing that he got the phone, and he said, and I sobbed uncontrollably. I couldn't stop crying. This is Sholom Mordechai. This is the guy I daven for. This is my chavrusa. 25 years. It's the rest of his life. He's going to be locked up in jail. How could I talk to him? How could I learn Mishnayos? And he says, and that voice is calming me. He said, Davido, what's wrong? What's fehlt du? Zahlst du der Rebbeinu Shalom? I'm not going to be in jail for 25 years, don't worry. But the kid says, but. And he writes this, but was der Eibishter für die Welt? I'll be in jail as long as Hashem wants. Everybody has a shlichus. My shlichus will be there for a while, and then Hashem will take me out. This is not a story from a Talks and Tales. It's not a story from a Farbrengen. It's not a story a Rebbe told you to keep you up or to put you to sleep. It's a real meiser. Sholom Mordechai. On the day he was sentenced, and we see how everything that Eibishter geführt, we had a rally in Borough Park. And before every rally we were scared, are people really going to come? How do we know? We gearbeitet, we tried, we made signs, we scraped together pennies. And the day of the Borough Park rally was the day that Mach Shefa sentenced him to 27 years. And people came, mamish like they came last week, Zelo Mazed, those same people that came out to the street looking for a hand to shake, for someone to laugh with, for someone to make a l'chaim with. Those same hands were holding Tilim in the streets of Borough Park, at the Beis Yankiv. The Novominsker Rebbe spoke, I believe, and Rav Shor, and Litvak, and Token Litvak, and Getzel, and Meir Simcha, mit geweint Tränen. And Sholom Mordechai says, don't worry. Was der Eibishter will, das nicht sein. What does it show? It shows the power of Yiddishkeit. It shows the power of will. It shows the power of choice. And it also shows, and you'll be mindful of me, that every word that they taught us in yeshiva, from pre-1A, all those Baba Mises, in first grade, second grade, third grade, about the pirates, about the chassid, and in Chabad they teach you about Misnagdim. Don't believe those stories. But every know the story they told you. They taught us about Emunah, about Bitachon, about Tefillah, about Torah Alzheimer's. It's all true. This Yid could show it. He could prove it. We could all prove it with our lives. The day we were thrown out of yeshiva, I remember when I was suspended, because I threw, you have on videos.
I was never suspended.
I was suspended. We all remember those days. He was thrown out of yeshiva. And look where we are today. You guys, whatever happens to you, you should never get thrown out of anywhere.
Out of jail.
Except out of a house that doesn't want to give money for a tzvei to you. That you should get thrown out. And that's, we take that as a pride, the doubt. I got meant when you go fundraising. Someone else took it in a different way.
I took it the right way.
Nothing happens by itself. Nobody sits in jail because some judge wants them to sit in jail. And nobody sits in jail a second longer than they're supposed to. And nobody's in a tzara a second later than they're supposed to. So you see this hat? You're wondering, why does the guy wear the hat? I was sick. I went to a heilige Yid for a bracha, Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Said, if you wear your hat like this, as design gesund. And other people laughed. And I put up my brim and ich gehe azoi. Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter gehört the Tefillah from the Tzaddik. It's not a joke. It's not a joke to be a Maimon. It's not a joke to believe, as the Michael Zayn, the Vilna Goyen says, that the Eibishter made in the Teva, that Tefillah helps. If a Yid has a tzara and he davens, a part of Teva is that the Eibishter had the Tefillah. And if you don't believe it, look at Sholom Mordechai. And look at yourself. And look at the difficult times that we had. And we davened and HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered us. You're going to remember this day for longer than you think. Because there are things that stay in your memory. And the day that Sholom Mordechai got out is going to stay in everybody's collective.
And the heat from the fire separates the gold from the rock, and now you have gold that you can sell. What's the latest price of gold, guys? What's the latest price of gold?
We are into bitcoins.
Oh, bitcoins. That's not nice. Let's say it's 50,000 ounces. Right? And you have the gold. So the same thing, the Eivishter wanted to purify the Yidden and take out the dirt that they have within the Neshama. He sent them down to the side and through the pain of the slavery. That is like the fire on the smelting pot, and that's how the Yidden became refined. Right? Right. You understand what you're saying? How do you think? Explain me exactly how this works. How does it work that by being a Mitzrayim and getting whipped by a Mitzvah stand over you, will tell you stand, go, work, and work harder, there's a Jew become refined? Exactly how does that work exactly? What's the refining process? The Mitzvah looked at a Maimon and said, he took a whip, and he whipped him, and he cried in pain, and he had to make a levain and build the guys and buildings. How is that? How does it refine the Yid? How does the Yid become a better understanding Jew?
Because it makes him realize that Hashem is the only thing that's going to help him, and everything else is nothing.
Okay, so he needs the whip. Okay, that's one answer. I'll take the answer a step further. I'll take the answer a step further. The Yidden came down to Mitzrayim, and they had some good years there. And they lived between the Mitzrayim, and the Mitzrayim had a nice culture. They had iPhones, they had museums, they had plays, they had nice dress. And the Yidden never changed their dress, and they always stuck to themselves. But they looked on the side, the Mitzrayim has a nice culture, that cool dimension, to have something there, that's something I would like to have, and maybe they adopted certain ways of the Mitzrayim, of the Goyim, right? And that's the dirt that the Yidden got from being a Mitzrayim, thinking that there's something good for them within the non-Jewish culture. When the Mitzvah finally showed himself for who he was, right, and he took to the bike, he started forcing it to work, the Yidden got healed very fast. He realized that all the beauty they're looking at is false. It's a mask. It's a facade. The Mitzvah is doing an evil person, the Nazi. He kills babies, he throws them into the water. He makes men work hard all day and night. That's what we really are. And the nice clothes and the nice fancy things they have is all for themselves or at the expense of somebody else. It's a Ra is ugly. It's really ugly. It has a nice veneer, but it's ugly. And that's the Kura Barza. I learned this pshat, and who my teacher was a place called jail. A place called jail. I was at a question on yeshiva. I was a question. I guess my Rebbe don't make an answer. I'm not going to say it.